What's going on? Welcome to a brand new edition of the Build Series. I'm Kevin Kenny, and not even a snowstorm could stop us from doing this today. We have quite the guests on the show. Metal royalty, music royalty, furthermore, a group of gentlemen that are about to celebrate 50 years as a band. 50 years next year, they'll be their anniversary, and even a quarter or a half century, I should say, into their career. I'm holding the #1 rock record in America this week. Richie, Rob, and Glenn of Judas Priest. What's going on,
Hi,
guys?
everybody. Good to see you all. Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, this is incredible. Nothing new to you guys, but it is a near blizzard outside, and we've got a sold-out crowd here to watch.
Yeah, nothing stops these metal maniacs, right? Only in metal.
Absolutely. I was saying that upstairs, like hip-hop, pop, no other genre has this level of passion. I didn't doubt for a second that this place would be sold out today despite the weather. It's just incredible. Coming off an amazing show last night and just an amazing week for you guys. You have the #1 rock album in the country.
Woo! That's thanks to these guys. We always start off these wonderful get-togethers by acknowledging that we can't get to where we get to, and we certainly couldn't have gotten this far on in doing what we do in metal without our beautiful metal maniacs, our fans. It's what we call our Judas Priest family, you know. So everybody's sharing in this moment. It's a big celebration. We thank you so much for giving us this great place in the Billboard charts and all the other places. It's fantastic.
It's incredible. Not to harp on the stats, but they're pretty incredible. So you're #1 on the rock albums chart. You're #5 overall on the Billboard 200 albums chart. It's amazing to see Judas Priest, you know, up there with like Lil Yachty and the Migos and all these, you know, these 2018, you know, youngins. It's amazing.
Yeah, the metal. It just goes to show you the force and the power and the broad scope that metal still has and continues to grow and develop.
It's not going anywhere.
We come from a time when it began, you know, we're the kind of inventors of the heavy metal scene.
Oh, I don't know about kind of. I would say bona fide inventors.
Humble. It feels fantastic, really feels fantastic.
You know, and as great as the album is doing, you know, the single, you got a hit single on your hands with the lightning strike. You know, that we've talked about the music video. We've seen the music video. It's off to a great start. #21 right now on the rock charts, which is actually your second highest charting single ever on that chart. It's incredible. So round of applause again for that. That's wild.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, can you guys guess your highest charting single actually of all time? I'll give you a little bit of help here. We'll play some Judas Priest trivia with Judas Priest. But it was #4 on the charts back in 1982. Can you guys guess?
Another Thing Coming.
Was it
Yes,
Another Thing Coming?
right on. Round of applause for
Here's
that.
another bit. Here's
Well
another
done.
bit of trivia about that. When that was at that place in the charts, Richie was 2 years old. I did not know that. I read that somewhere. I think I can believe everything. Believe everything on the internet.
There you go. We need to get Glenn like a T-shirt, like a Judas Priest T-shirt. Maybe tickets to the next show, right?
Yeah, okay.
Some prize for winning that trivia question.
Okay.
Well, you know, I want to talk about the Lightning Strike, the lead single, and what kind of goes into picking a lead single, because it's really the first impression. You know, you talk about the Maniacs and, you know, the fans overall around the world. That's the first impression of the album that they're going to get. So, Richie, how did you guys collectively choose that as the lead one to go with?
I think it's a pretty immediate song. As soon as it goes on, it's in your face. It contains all the trademark elements that a Priest song does. You know, it's 3 minutes and change. It's 3.5 minutes, I think it is. It's powerful. It's fast. It's got the trademark screams, the trademark harmonies, the trademark guitar solos, drums and bass. So to announce a new record, we couldn't really think of anything better to put out there as the first single.
Right. Rob, you know, how does it compare going from picking a lead single, which is, of course, I just said, you know, the first impression of an album, to like an opening song, which is, of course, you know, like the first impression of a set? How do you go about that, and how do those compare and contrast?
Well, we're excited to share this moment of Firepower with as many people as we can on this Firepower World Tour that's just started, and it made absolute sense for us to kick off the night with the title track from the record. Whenever we go out, Priest has been a working band, as we call ourselves, for almost 50 years now, and whenever we go out, it is to promote our latest release. And in this case, it was Firepower, and I think we probably, in the back of our minds as the record was coming together, we probably felt that this could be the lead-off track for the set each night that we play, and it certainly sets the tone for the evening. It just transcends into a really special moment.
Yeah, I love that you guys were thinking about that as early on as the recording process of what the opener for the eventual show could be. You know, I don't envy you guys at all having to put 18 studio albums into, you know, one set every single night. It's almost impossible to get it right. But Glenn, how does that process come about? You know, does it happen in the green room beforehand? Is it a tour bus? Like, take us inside kind of like putting together a set list for Judas Priest.
It's very difficult. It's one of the most difficult things to do because you name any track and you leave it out and you disappoint somebody. We've got over 200 songs. So it just, we try and just give a good representation across the board of where the band's at, where we've been and where we're going, you know. And we try it at rehearsals, we kick it around. You can soon tell if the order's wrong or one sticks out like a sore thumb and you eliminate that or change it. And it's just experimentation. And then when we get a new album out, some of the old favourites have to go as well for the new songs. So that's it just happens, it evolves, you know. That's all I can say. You never really get it right. As well, you usually have to find you make some tweaks on the first few shows.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of tour, last night, an amazing show at Prudential Center. Was anybody actually here at the show last night? Yeah?
Yes.
A couple people right here? How about Glenn on the encore? Can we get a round of applause for that?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I was telling you in the green room before, I was getting a lot of Snapchats, Instagrams, you know, messages, texts, really, videos on my phone last night from the show, friends that attended. And I mean, the roar of the crowd when you were out there for the encore, what did that feel like in that moment?
It's just amazing to get, particularly, first of all, support from the band. But, you know, the texts and emails I had from all over the world, and to hear the audience last night was very emotional, you know. Don't like to see a grown man cry, but we did.
It's awesome. Special moment for sure. Special moment for sure, guys. I do want to, you know, take a break from Torch for just a second and talk about, you know, Firepower, this amazing body of work that we keep alluding to, and how you guys kind of made it, because there's 14 tracks on it, and you actually went the co-production route. A little bit of old school, a little bit of new school, and a lot has been made about that. Can you talk about sort of that dynamic in the recording process?
Yeah, we had in our mind reconnecting with Tom Allen. Tom Allen's been with us since, I think he first mixed Unleashed in the East, wasn't it, Glenn? And then we went on to do British Steel together. And we just had this incredible bond. The chemistry with your producer is very important because your producer is not only responsible for getting the whole band produced, but he has to really focus on in each individual's performance. And Tom did some amazing work with us over certain albums. And he's always been in the background. He's always been working on audio for live releases, whether they're albums or videos, DVDs. So we thought, you know, we're going to make this record, the body of the record should have the classic heavy metal Priest sound. So the first idea was to go with Tom. But then Andy Sneap was brought into the picture. And I can't remember exactly how Andy was brought along. Can you remember that, Richie?
I think we whittled it down to these two guys. These were two guys that kept coming up, and we couldn't decide Tom or Andy. Andy's been doing it for 25 years now, so he's by no means a new boy. But, you know, in terms of...
When comparing to Tom, yeah.
Exactly that,
Yeah.
right? So I think it was actually Glenn that one day said, why don't we get them both? Why don't we throw them both in the mix and see how it goes? And we didn't know. It could have gone horribly wrong. They could have, you know, trod over each other's toes creatively or personally. They might not have got on.
Was there any of that, or was just from day one they were collaborative, they could work
House on
together
fire.
well? Really?
Absolute house on fire.
It just worked beautifully. And of course, we must mention Mike Exeter as well, who engineered the album and worked, you know, in between Tom and Andy and sort of acted as an intermediate. But no, there was, right from the word go, it was great. I mean, it could have been a case of too many cooks, but it wasn't, you know. They just hit it off straight away. And we've said earlier on today, the last album was the most enjoyable album we've ever recorded. The vibe and everything was just great.
That's awesome. Well, it was a little bit of an old school approach, or kind of getting back to your roots. For the first time in a while, you kind of were all in the studio together, I understand, like all in the same room, kind of just performing as one.
That's where Andy comes from. Andy's very, very strong in getting the band performance, and we hadn't done that for a long time. In today's world, you know, you have opportunities where you basically put the foundation down with drums and bass, maybe a little bit of rhythm guitar, and build from that. But Andy was very strong in believing that to have the band performing at the same time, you capture the real spirit of the live performance and the soul, the pull and the push of the music, subtly, albeit, and all that is very, very difficult to capture unless you're playing live. So that was Andy's kind of texture and approach, and that balance between Tom's kind of old school metal ideas in production with Andy, who's more from today's metal scene, was just a very interesting collaboration.
You know, Rob, you talk about the old school and sort of like today's metal. I think to the untrained ear, you know, metal might sound like metal, right? There's a consistency to the genre that I think is great. But Glenn, how have you seen metal change from, you know, the start of Priest to now?
It's strange because, I mean, there was a period in time where a lot of bands dropped the tag heavy metal because they thought it was unfashionable. We've always been proud to be a heavy metal band. And, you know, if you consider tracks like Eat Me Alive and Last Rose of Summer, the difference couldn't be more extreme, but it's still, to us, heavy metal. It's still Judas Priest style heavy metal. Right. So it can be what you want it to be. There are no rules. And that's the way we always looked at it, you know. If there are rules, they can be broken. Heavy metal is just heavy metal.
Absolutely.
And we're proud that we're a heavy metal band. We've flown the flag for years as a heavy metal band and always will.
Absolutely, guys. You know, I got a kick out of something you said recently in an interview, Rob, of talking about changing. You know, I'm sure you guys have changed all individually, you know, throughout the years of being in the band and just your careers as musicians. And you said, I don't know if it's Rolling Stone or somebody, and you were saying, you know, this album, you know, is all about how love can conquer it all. And that's a great sentiment, but I did smile just a little bit because this is the guy that used to tell me to break the law, you know what I mean? So how have you changed personally throughout the years?
Well, I think, you know, the longer you live, that you should gain some wisdom and some perspective about life, you know, and I think you filter that down in the work that you do. And Priest has always had this message of solidarity and being united and together, and surely that's what part of what love represents. And then the messages that we send out, even though the music is extremely fierce and strong and potent and powerful, our messages are always about unity, and they're always about conquering challenges, you know, oppressing evil, rising up. We have a song called Rising from Ruins on this record. Other songs have the same kind of texture. So it's a very strong, positive, optimistic kind of projection that we've sent out pretty much from day one.
Yeah, and it's still, yeah, like you just said, still there today. You know, metal, I think for, at least when it first came on the scene, right, back, you know, now going on 50 years, as we talked about before, you know, it was the music of the youth. It was the music of rebellion. It was, you know, music of the alternative. And to a large extent, it still is to this day, you know, a half century later. But there has been other genres that have crept up there, you know, hip-hop being one of them. We alluded to, you know, before, just you guys are sandwiched down between rappers, and it's so funny. But, Richie, I'm curious, do you see yourself, or, you know, Glenn, Rob, please weigh in, you know, you guys as early metal artists, do you see yourself at all in terms of attitude or vibe or anything in these new hip-hop artists?
That's interesting. I think there's a certain attitude that translates with many different genres. And it's that, what Rob said before, that positive message, the challenges, whatever that challenge may be, whatever walk of life it is, whatever genre of music it is, there are certain things that translate no matter what genre, which is definitely in the hip-hop, you know, world, and it's definitely in the rock and metal world. And I think people pick up on that. And it's a universal message, which is why Priest is right there in the top 5 position, along with all those artists. And I think it's a potent message, and one that will be around forever, to be honest.
And probably more so than ever, because just from my experience, seeing the way the world has evolved in this exchange on the social level, the social media level, especially through the internet and all the platforms and so forth, your voice is important no matter where you are in your life. Whether you're 16 or 60, your voice is still important. You can still have something vital to say. You have every right to express yourself, and one of the great joys of being able to do that is through music. So on this Priest album, we certainly go into that area here and there with like songs like Children of the Sun, which talks about the way the climate is changing right now. You know, the lone wolf experience about the being a single person, but having the strength to carry yourself by your own values and so forth. So, you know, even though we don't lay all of this out in black and white, the message is there for you to interpret it how you want it to. So, yeah, it's no matter where you're from, you know, your voice is there to be heard.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask you guys about what you think. What you guys think when you see people like Rihanna or Lady Gaga or these, you know, these newer celebrities, artists rocking Priest tees. Glenn, like when you see that, like, is that, I mean, that's obviously a tip of the hat. I mean,
Lady Gaga used to go with one of our road crew. I'm still trying to find out who it was.
oh yeah.
That was one of her singles, wasn't it? She wrote about apparently one of our road crew.
Oh my God.
I've got the greatest respect for everybody. I mean, from Elton John to even people like Liberace, you know, they're showmen. It's show business, and that's what you entertain people, and if you do it in a way that's just appealing in any way, shape, or form, you're doing your job properly, you know. And they're great musicians, most of them as well, and they write great songs. So, I've got no mind for any music or the way it's presented. I think it's exciting.
Yeah.
And Gaga's a metalhead, and Rihanna likes to rock out. So
Yeah, exactly. So all the better if they're Priest fans,
works,
right?
yeah.
Who wouldn't like Rihanna?
Yeah, there you go, Glenn. Let me know if you find out which singer dated Gaga, by the way. Glenn's on the case. You guys have probably met, so many people throughout your careers, and a story that I read recently, Rob, that I would love for you to retell now, but you can only do it if you do the impression that's involved in it, is the time that you met Bob Dylan.
Oh, yeah. I did the Bob Dylan, yeah. Hey, how's Ozzy doing? Yeah, man. No, just a quick story. I was in New York with another band that I was working with, and I heard that Bob was in the building, and it's Bob Dylan. Who doesn't want to say hi to Bob Dylan? So I was taken around the back of the studio, and there he was, sitting on the couch with some ladies around him, and just, hey, Bob, nice to meet you. This is Rob Halford from Judas Priest. Hey, Rob, what's going on? And then he goes, how's Ozzy doing? Why is he asking about Ozzy Osbourne? But, maybe he knows Ozzy. Maybe he's buds with us. Everybody knows Ozzy. But it was a real kind of surreal moment that I had with the unbelievable Bob Dylan.
That's hilarious. It's crazy. Now, I don't know how you guys are going to react to this next question, but I know that I speak for every single person in here when I ask it. Why aren't you guys in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Can we get a round of applause for that?
We don't know. We don't know why.
It's crazy to me. And shame on me. I just assumed you guys were probably whenever the first year of eligibility was.
Well, you'd
Yeah.
think so, right? You pretty much you defined a genre,
Yeah.
both musically and visually.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd think that that's something that is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is founded on. But I guess
I
not.
would think Priest would have its own hallway in the hall. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this is the metal hallway. Start here.
I think we all believe that eventually we'll get in there. We would like to get in there while we're still able to maybe perform, because I know that's part of the ceremony for the induction. The fact that we were even nominated was a thrill, because no matter what your perspective is on the Hall of Fame, and it always creates a little bit of a ripple, a bit of controversy for whatever reason. But the Hall of Fame is not just rock and roll; it's all kinds of genres of music, as it should be. We just want to see more metal in there,
Amen.
There definitely needs to be some more heavy metal in the halls. So hopefully one day Priest will get that opportunity.
I think without being too harsh, we consider there's a lot of bands in there that don't deserve to be in there, and there's a lot of bands that aren't in there that should be. So, somewhere they've got it a little bit wrong. That'll probably stop us ever getting in, so...
And to be honest, 50 years into a career, blazing new music and selling out arenas, I think that's, with the fans
That's what I
around
mean.
the world, that's what it's about, man.
No one else
You know
is
what I mean?
doing what you guys are doing. A half century in, you got the #1 rock album. I know I sound like a broke record, but no one's doing that. That's why I'm stressing it. It's like, if anybody from the hall is watching right now, like, what are you doing?
Well, that's
Get it
as
together.
big an accolade as you can ever get, and it's the fans that put it there, and it's thanks to them that the band's been going for 50 years and continues to forge new metal. So that's as much of an accolade I think anyone can ever ask for, really.
Yeah, I agree. It's well said.
Maybe an impossible question to answer, but we got you up here. It's not every day you talk to Judas Priest. I got to ask you guys this question. What song, and I want each of you to try to answer this, what's Judas Priest song throughout your career or time in the band has meant the most to you? Maybe it's not a hit song, maybe it's not the most successful song, but it means the most to you personally.
It's difficult, really, because there's been so many. And we never take a song lightly, do we? We never sort of say, oh, that's okay, that can go on the album. It has to pass a stringent testing, We have to all be really happy with it. And I think that there's songs that remind people of different eras in their life. Maybe some years in college, or maybe a love for someone, or, everybody's got different songs, different Judas Priest songs. For me, I think there's two aspects. There's something like Breaking the Law, or there's like Painkiller, or you've got Night Comes Down. So Night Comes Down was a moment maybe that I cherished, and I remember the song more vividly. And I think everybody's got their own Judas Priest song and their own reason for it being a favourite song. Yeah. So I didn't answer the question, did I?
No, you name dropped.
You did.
No, I should have
did.
let that go.
And for me, it's Victim of Changes. It's always been Victim of Changes, just because of the components of that song, the way the song opens up with the twin guitars, and then the crushing riff as the song starts to grow, and then the quiet part where it gets a little bit subtle and moody, and then the thundering lead break section, and the dramatic exit. You know, it's got all the embellishments that are important for a classic heavy metal track.
Hell yeah.
I'm lucky. I can have my favourite on one side of the fence and then my favourite on the other side.
I know you have like the best perspective.
So as a fan, I'd have to say the Sentinel from Defenders of the Faith. And then, you know, when you start creating these little metal children, you can't really pick one. They all push forward in different areas, and you love them for different reasons, you know. So from Redeemer and Firepower, they've all got their own qualities. But on the other side of the fence, it was definitely Sentinel.
Hell yeah. That's awesome, guys. Now, we have this sold-out crowd here of Priest fans, of Metal Maniacs. Let's get to some studio audience questions.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Thank you for being here. We're going to take our first question from an online viewer.
Okay.
So Jimmy would like to know, in the spirit of being here in New York City, could you tell us what your favorite New York venue is and why?
Let's make that all time, because if you played a venue that maybe is, you know, isn't that venue anymore.
Well, you've got to say Madison Square Garden, because if you've played the Garden, that's just like the pinnacle, you know. And we played it, and we got banned from it.
Never played again because they
Never
ripped
played
all
it
the
again
seats
'cause
out through them
we got banned.
on the stage.
Yeah.
And so we were banned for life. But
Since you out to Jersey now, you're on Prudential now.
We should start a petition to get Priest back in the
Yeah,
Garden.
you guys should
know,
start a petition
It's
to
gone
get us
long
back.
enough now. Get them back
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
It's been a while,
There you go.
but that was, you know, it's just this magical place. The Garden is just, well, it means so much, you know.
forgive and forget, eh?
Yeah, forgive and forget, I say. Plus, as we said before, when you went there to see Garolitis play some tennis, one of the security guards came over to you and said, "Glenn, thanks for the new seats. We needed new seats at the Garden, and after the
guys were just
$250,000 worth
all.
of damage, we got new seats for the first time. So there was a payoff toward the end."
That's amazing. Let's get to our second studio audience question right here.
Hey guys,
Aye.
what's the inspiration behind the album artwork?
Ah, very cool.
That's Richie.
Well, we wanted something, obviously, that was going to embody the firepower of the music within. It sounds very Spinal Tap, but that's kind of what you want. You want something to represent it, and we knew it was fierce, it was intense, it was blazing, it was classic but modern. So the artwork kind of represents that. You know, you can tell straight away it's a Priest cover, it's a Priest Titan, but it's a modern one with references to the classic. And as far as I'm aware, that's exactly what, you know,
That's
contained
metal.
in the music.
It looks metal.
It absolutely sums up the title as well, you know.
You have decided in here, the vinyl is great, by the way. This is available everywhere now. Let's get a shot of the vinyl. And then, I mean, really a lost art. It's probably been said a bunch, but, you know, with digital now, it's like you don't get the physical stuff. But this is really a work of art. And then if you flip to the inside cover, it's credited the cover art to Claudio Bergman. What's your relationship with him? How'd that come about?
He was a friend of mine, and he's done some logos for me, picks and guitar stuff. And he asked me on Redeemer of Souls, he said, can I put forward some ideas? He put forward some stuff, didn't get accepted, but he put some for this. He put one idea forward, and it was immediate. It was exactly what we wanted, so we went with that.
That's awesome, guys. Well, I mean, legends, chart toppers. What more can I say? Thank you so much for stopping by in a snowstorm, no less. Thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you,
Thank
all
you,
out there.
everybody.
everyone.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
The record is out and available everywhere, and the guys are out on tour. Be sure to pick up tickets. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks again.